Good morning, Neil. Sean here in the very heart of London, and as ever, thank you so much for joining me today. It's really nice to have your company, and welcome on all brand new subscribers. Yes, we're getting quite a few. Don't know what you've let yourselves in for here, do you? And also thank you so much as ever for your very kind comments about the recent videos. Do you know, it's funny, we were doing it on this day, you know, the historical one. And what I love about it is, you know, you can put all these wonderful facts down. The minute you mention vanilla custards, oh, went through the roof, you know, oh, I love a vanilla custard, Neil. Have you tried one with cream? Have you tried? I've tried them all, can't you tell? That's the problem, isn't it? Those sort of desserts, I think childhood desserts are the very best. Because, you know, I think it's the ones that you're introduced to. Do you remember Viennetta slice? I don't know what it was called in your part of the world, but that was considered a big treat, you know. And also Arctic roll, do you remember that? Which was like a Swiss roll, but with ice cream, sometimes jam with it. I think maybe frosted ice as well. All of the really simple things to make, very nice sort of treats at the end, you know. And also sometimes, I don't know if people still have this now, I do, I love it. Tinned fruit, do you like that? Carnation milk, do you remember that? Evaporated milk, or if it's in your part of the world. A bit of an odd taste now when you think, but at that time, very nice indeed. Back as ever though to what happened on this day in history. Now, way back in 1911, Leonardo da Vinci had a very special painting hanging in the Louvre over in Paris, and it was of course of the Mona Lisa, possibly one of the most famous paintings in the world, but not at that point. That is until a couple of handymen broke in and stole it. And then this particular picture was searched for all around the world. And, you know, if you think about it in today's terms, it's the Instagram stuff, isn't it? You know, everybody looking, flicking around, have they got it? Massive awards, you know, offered in terms of if they could find it, bring it back. It wasn't found again until 1913 when it was rescued. Thus, it became the very now famous painting that everybody sort of talks about, being mocked, being put on t-shirts, mugs, you name it. One of the best-selling prints ever in the world, and all that happened on this day in 1911. Wonder what happened to the handymen, whether they got put inside or whatever like that. You never find that bit out of the story, do you? Back as ever though to what else happened on this day. You know, here on the show we love to talk about the weather, don't we? I mean, there's nothing more, I think it's a universal thing, isn't it? You know, wherever you are in the world, too hot, too cold, too dry, too snowy. But on this day, for the very first time in 1926, the weather map was televised. And when you think about it now, the weather map is still one of those staples that we all turn to, isn't it? You know, and when you think it's just a very simple thing, isn't it? Picture of your part of the world, somebody puts some clouds or some sun on, and we all go, oh right, it's going to be like that, yeah. Whoever came up with that, I hope they got highly paid. Now, way back in 1956, were you a hound dog? That is because, of course, the brilliant Elvis Presley reached #1 in the charts with a double A side, Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel. I think Hound Dog is just truly a classic, isn't it? You know, whenever you hear it, you just think, yeah, great song, doesn't matter what decade it's in, it could always get a party going. Also in 1958, now I found this pretty fascinating if I'm honest with you, because Perez Prado, the Mambo King, he was one of the very first people to receive a gold record, and that's for 1 million, you know, 1 million sales. So, you know, again, wonderful to think, isn't it, that all of this stuff was going on way before we even thought of it, of course. I love them. Now, one of my all-time favourite stars was none other than Phyllis Diller, the American comedian and actress. She really was a groundbreaker, you know. I love that line there when she said, you know, you're getting old when they discontinue your blood type. I mean, it's such a good joke, isn't it? Actually could be true as well, though. She was noted, of course, for a raucous sort of personality, a fake, you know, sort of imaginary husband, Fang. And I love the way that she sort of made herself to be ugly just to get the laughs, you know. And I don't mean that in a cruel way, but the hair and, you know, running herself down and stuff. She was a very lovely woman, very sweet, groundbreaking, and led the way for other people, including another one of my favourites, as you all know, Joan Rivers, but so many other comedians. Apparently, Phyllis Diller was inspired by none other than the likes of Fanny Bryce. So everybody has an icon that they look up to, don't they? Wonderful woman. Let's remember Phyllis Diller. Now, way back in 1942, It's hard to imagine this now. The animated film Bambi had its very first theatrical release in the United States, and it became a classic in the Disney canon. It really is, isn't it? It's one of those movies that we all still love and like and watch from time to time, but it's hard to imagine just how impactful it was on the big screen back in the day. And Bambi, way back in 1942, right in the middle of all that terrible war stuff, was making people sigh and ah with a warmth that continues to this day. Now, in 1962, a groundbreaking move took place because the Beatles were just about to break through. Things were going really well for them, but right at the height of their breakthrough, their drummer, Pete Best, was replaced. That's right, by Ringo Starr, who was appearing as a drummer in a band out at Butlins holiday camps, no less, and he was sort of drafted in as a very quick replacement. I'm not quite sure if he was going to be permanent at this point. Beatles aficionados will tell me differently, but this is the detail that we get. Now, what's interesting here is there's a lovely bit of film online of Pete Best's mum being interviewed alongside Pete, telling a reporter why her son's been badly treated. Nobody sticks up for you like your mum does. And at that time, when you think they were just about to become the biggest band in the world. Finally, a man who truly has given us so much joy, with a glitter ball, a dance floor and wonderful riffs and tracks. Everything from Le Freak, I Want Your Love, He's the Greatest Dancer, Dinah Ross's albums, all that sort of stuff. But way back in 1979, on this day, Chic, headed by this man, Nile Rodgers, was telling us good times. All right. Good Times apparently was based on their times at Studio 54 in the very heart of New York City. And as ever, Nile managed to make disco, funk, and above all, just great beats, the #1 track in the world. And still going strong, I'm happy to say, today. You're up to date with all the latest breaking news that happened on this day. And as ever, will you join me tomorrow?